right, beloved. And let's first do a list of main characters in Beloved. Start throwing them out, you guys.
Beloved.
All right, Beloved for sure. Polly.
Setha.
The ghost of Beloved.
Well, we can put Beloved as Beloved could be the spirit or
Beloved, all Beloved.
the spirit or the embodiment.
Denver.
Okay. Your boy.
What did you say?
Your boy.
Oh,
Where's
Stampede.
the dog?
Stampede.
Who remembers
Who is Sam?
Stampede.
The sweetheart.
I think it was
It was
H-E-R-D,
strange.
Sarah, for here boy.
Shady, no one cares.
Like, come here, boy.
Doesn't like sick.
Don't you remember my lovely here boy, flat here boy?
The Garners.
Is it like the speed of
Mr. and Mrs. Garner, yeah, Garner.
Like the guard,
They were like the thing.
They were like, quote unquote, benevolent.
it's not the
you know.
gardeners.
No, there's no D. They were the benevolent plantation owners, if you could, you know, if there's such thing as a benevolent slave owner. they
School
were-
teacher.
School teacher is who replaces Mr. Garner, yep.
Was it 6-0?
Yeah, 6-0. Yeah, if you want to talk about the other men in the plantation, we had 6-0, and then two more Pauls.
Oh, and then Hallie. Or
Yeah,
Hal.
and Hal.
Whatever his name was.
Do you remember the other Pauls, what they were?
Paul A.
Paul A.
and Paul F.
Something like
Paul A,
that.
Paul F, Hal, and 6-0.
That's so stupid.
Who's Hal's mom?
Baby
Yeah.
Shook.
Baby Shugs, Suggs, however you want to say it. Who delivers Denver when she's born?
Oh, Amy?
Amy Denver, that's who Denver's named after. Yeah, Stampede's up there. Amy Denver, who are the white couple that, Denver goes to work for? Who have the offensive statue of a black person that says "at your service."
I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
Setha tries to stab.
All I know is one of them tried to change her name to Jenny. That's all I remember.
Baby Suggs. Bodwins. Mr. and Mrs. Bodwin.
What were the name of her sons that ran away?
Howard and Bugler.
I love that book.
I do love this book.
Love this book.
It's a scary book, though.
Bugler?
It's just reminding me of like the hamburger.
Isn't that beautiful?
Like that's my picture. Yeah, I'd say Bugler. I don't know. Would you say Bugler? I don't know.
No, I was just, that's like a person who plays your
Burglar.
How about, do you guys remember the woman who was Denver's teacher before she selectively went deaf for 2 years? She was,
Wait, selectively like that?
rather than hear what her mother tried to do.
Who was that boy that brought that on?
That's not important.
What was her name?
Lady Jones. And remember, Lady Jones was mixed race. She was half white, half black. Mulatto.
Wait, Denver? No.
You don't remember that?
Dude,
Denver is?
no. I didn't know she selectively,
You don't remember?
blocked everything out.
Yeah, she was deaf for 2 years. That's why she always went to me.
That's like a big theme of the novel, is how different characters block out the past. So why don't you write that down? Themes, yeah. Theme and or
It's
meaning.
okay, I'm writing about Moby Dick, it's fine.
Okay, so like dealing with.
You're right about Moby.
Dealing with the past in order to have a future. Because every character in this book, in one way or another, blocks out the past for a while. Setha does it, I think, for the longest. Paul D has his tobacco tin heart. Denver selectively goes deaf. Baby Suggs, after what was called, the misery, after
Goes
Setha
kinda
tried
crazy.
to kill her children rather than have them go back to slavery. Baby Suggs, rather than deal with it, just basically lays down and dies. Other thematic ideas? What's the purpose of this novel? Why did Toni Morrison write this novel? Why is it so disturbing? Why is some of it hard to read as far as, makes us uncomfortable? Why does she say at the end this wasn't their story to pass on, yet she is passing on the story? I'm like, I see the camera turning. But what is the point? What are we supposed to, why experience this? What's different about reading this book than anything you learn in history?
Like, in history, you kind of learn that, like, the Emancipation Proclamation happened in, like, 1863 or whatever, but then after that, like, there weren't slaves anymore, whereas this is kind of showing that, like, what happened kind of still has, like, long-lasting ramifications for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just because the Emancipation Proclamation happened didn't mean that, like, life was all rainbows and butterflies for people who used to be slaves after that. And what happens at 124, even though that was before emancipation, it shows even if you were escaped, the whole idea of the fugitive slave law, and what that meant. But even after emancipation, like, this is, we're looking 18 years after Sweet Home when Paul D shows up, and this is after emancipation, and their lives are not, all pretty yet. Are they on their way to something hopeful? Yes, the novel does end with hope, but it's not over yet. The ramifications of slavery weren't over just because the slaves were emancipated. And that's a big thing about this, and the reason why this story needs to be passed on. Because it isn't just Setha's story, it is a collective experience. And to experience it like this, from this small perspective, from this, one family's perspective, makes it a lot more personal than just learning about slavery in your history class. Remember that this is also historical fiction, that, that what Setha tried to do with her children, rather than send them, into slavery, was based on the story of Margaret Garner, an escaped slave who, when she was caught, tried to murder all her children rather than have them be taken back into slavery. But that's how bad slavery was, that some people chose death rather than slavery. And getting that kind of experience, as uncomfortable as some of the stuff is in this book, getting that kind of experience makes it much more personal, especially to those of us who cannot possibly fathom what it would have been like to be a slave. Here you've got it, as gritty and distressing as it can be. From the idea of the slave ships, from Africa over to the United States, all the way to, what life was like even after slavery was abolished. So you've got, the bigger idea of dealing with the past in order to have a future, but make that a little bit smaller and put it just towards the slave experience, is this idea of being a part of the experience in order to understand it, rather than just being a bystander and learning about it from a very, big distance. Could you have written about this book for a simple prompt? Absolutely. A lot of my students wrote about the law last year for this prompt. So like I said, keep this one, hopefully in the back of your mind as one that could go in many different directions as far as what kind of prompt comes up. You could definitely use it for multiple questions that might pop up.